All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Retro Hoop Collectibles. A very special episode. Got special guests today. Like I said, I'm going to try to do at least one of these a week going forward where I'm actually talking to people in the hobby, folks that I watch, folks that I follow. And today is both. I consume very little content online on YouTube, but a lot of what I consume is my guest today, which is Mike Moynihan from Bench Clear Media. If you guys have watched my channel for any amount of time, you guys will know I reference him a lot. I really enjoy their content. On the Fly with Mike and Ty is my favorite video to watch on a weekly basis. So I'm very excited to have him on. And so without further ado, I'll bring in Mike.
Yo,
Good afternoon, sir.
Yo, and hello.
How's it going, man? How are you?
It's good. Yeah, I'm doing well. You said special guest, and let's just say guest. Like,
I like
I'm
special,
just a dude.
but you're kind of special, though.
Well, I like cards that have guys with tight pants on, and you like cards with guys with half pants on. You know, Beth. So neither of which say a lot about us. But
yeah, both a little suspect, but we'll.
Right.
We'll roll with it. I somebody asked me the other day, like, my wife mentions to them that I have, a YouTube channel, and they go, "Oh, what do you talk about on YouTube?" It's like we talk about pieces of cardboard with pictures of men on them. For
sweating, usually they're sweating
profusely. So yeah, man. When I say special, I really mean special. Ty was actually the first person to like ever reach out to me to go, "Hey, man, you want to come on my channel and talk?" And I'm like, I didn't even know anybody watched my stuff, but this was great. So you guys are, I'm a huge fan of what you guys do. And I consume almost 90% of my consumption on YouTube for the hobby is all Bench Clear stuff. So I'm very happy that you made some time to come on and chat.
Do you watch Chasing Cardboard?
I do, of course. Yeah. I really love that premise because one of my favorite shows is what's the one on American Pickers? There you go. Yeah, it's one of my favorite shows. And one of my other favorite shows that I like to watch is Chasing Classic Cars with Wayne Carini. I don't know if you're familiar with that space.
I am.
But yeah, I love that guy's show. It's a great show. Pulling barn finds out. I'm a huge car guy. I mean, if I'm a big sports card collector, I'm an even bigger car guy. So for me, that's huge to watch those shows. And I love that format, and that's the format that I love about Chasing Cardboard and what you guys are doing with that. So that's great, good stuff.
Well, you'll be really happy then in the next few weeks. We got some episodes that are just insane.
Man, the first thing, I mean, so when he was filming, Ty had sent me. I mean, he was sending me stuff that I was like, "Holy crap! Where are you? Like, where are you pulling this stuff from?" And he's like, "Oh, you'll see." And then, then he kind of dropped it on me. He's like, "Hey, man, we're doing this channel, this show, and it's gonna be great." And it has been, man. For every episode's been great. The update episodes, kind of like where he shows like how he did, with buying the card, sending it off to get graded, how much it appreciated in value because of the grading. And then ultimately his profits are, whether realized or not realized, it doesn't matter. But those update episodes are probably just as fun to watch than the actual show itself. It's been really good, man. I'm really, I mean, I guess I can't say I'm really proud of what he's doing. I don't really know Ty that well, but I think for the hobby, it's a great look what he's doing over there. So it's pretty dope.
Yeah, it's been fun. To me, all content should either entertain, educate, or inspire.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're not doing one of those three, ideally all three of those three in the same thing. And I think Chasing Cardboard does that. It can educate if you don't know a whole lot about cards. We're trying not to talk so much where it's, everything, getting real deep in the weeds on different things, but we're trying to educate. Like, I just did some clips today on what does certificate of authenticity mean and why is it important on autographs? We found a bunch of anyway.
Yeah, to the layman, that's huge information. I mean, you and I live in this space, so we know it. It's secondhand. I mean, it's like off the top knowledge for us. But to get anybody excited about coming into this space, a little bit of education goes a long way, right?
No
And
doubt.
so it was actually a lot of the kind of the reason why I started doing my channel. Originally started just opening basketball cards and just showing everybody what I got. And then it evolved into me talking about grading, because I had no idea what grading was. I had to go figure it out. I had to go, look through all these things and realize what, gem mint was versus near mint fives and all this other. Like, I had to learn all that by myself. And it was my intention to take all of that, consolidate it, and put it into content so that people could not have to work so hard to get educated on that piece of it. So
Yeah, your
I
channel's
completely
doing
agree.
great. Your channel's fantastic, Omar.
It's getting there. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, it's a labor of love for sure. For sure,
all
as
of
you well know.
For all of us.
So look, you're primarily vintage baseball, right? That's would you say had big percentage or an entirety of your collection?
A big percentage.
Big
Yes.
percentage. You don't get into anything else at all? No baseball? I mean, no basketball, no football.
I mean, I have a Kobe rookie. I have, I like key cards. I have
Yeah.
I have a Jack Nicklaus rookie. I have several football rookies.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I mean,
The blue chips.
yeah, it's not like I don't like other sports. In fact, I love other sports probably just as much. I'm a huge Mavs fan, Cowboys. So it's not a matter of loving. It's just you can only do so much in this. I think.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
agree.
like, you got to draw the line in the sand somewhere. You can't.
Yeah, I agree.
Can't have it all. You can't do everything. True passion from childhood has always been old baseball card dudes, old baseball guys. Lou Gehrig's my favorite player of all time. Ruth Cobb, and then Aaron Mantle Mays. All those guys are just historic, and I never saw them play. And yet, the stories and the legends and the statistics and everything is powerful for me.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm very fortunate to have grown up in the Michael Jordan era. And so for me, that's kind of where a lot of that came from, is my love. I say it all the time. My love is first for basketball. I love basketball in its entirety as a sport and everything. I played it. I watched it. I was consumed for a good portion of my childhood. I was consumed by it. And then we won championships, which for a child in the middle of being all consumed by a sport, to have your home team win a championship twice in a row was like, I was in utopia. So
yeah,
I got to experience the highest of the highs, and then subsequently followed by the lows of the lows. We had a little bit of a thing with the Harden experiment that we had, but we got kind of close, but now we're in a rebuild stage. So yeah, I agree. But it's just ultimately you have to draw the line somewhere. And for me, 90% basketball, 10% football. And then now I'm really starting to get scared because I'm getting into F1, and that's really scary for me, because it's like, oh, there's so much stuff out there, and
right.
I'm a degenerate collector by like at heart. So I like collecting everything, not just cards. I always tell people that there's a whole nother like 3 walls back there that are just full of stuff, and so getting into F1 is starting to get kind of crazy for me. So I kind of got to cool off. But so that being said, the main reason why I wanted to have you on is because 2 things. Number one, I think one of the things that's no secret is that I'm a big SGC fan, a big fan of what they're doing. You had Peter on your channel where you guys had probably one of the, I watched all his interviews in preparation for my own. And I think the interview that you and him did was probably my favorite, because of a lot of what you guys talked about was really not even grading related. You guys got so like hobby related and just card related, because I think he's a vintage sports guy too, like a vintage baseball guy too. So you guys really kind of talk the same language, and it really showed in your interview. But you guys did something in that interview where you guys were talking about how important it is for content creators to talk about why vintage is so cool. And it really inspired me to like start trying to format some of my content to tell people why Hakeem Olajuwon was so great, to talk about why Clyde Drexler was so great, Robert Horry was so great, some of my favorite players, Sean Kemp, Shaquille O'Neal, like why they were so great. And that was just I think that was a great interview that you guys did.
Ori is very underrated, by the way.
Ori is extremely underrated.
But yeah, Peter's a collector. You know, he happens to run SGC.
Right.
But when we talked about the interview, pre-interview, you might put a link to that below. I bet there's some people that haven't seen that.
I will.
I said, dude, I just want to talk to you about cards. Everybody talks to you about grading. Let's talk about cards, man. Let's talk about the hobby and your what you like. And and he was like, man, this is gonna be my favorite interview ever. And after we got done, he's like, dude, if you ever want to do that again, you just let me know and we'll do it. Like, he's like, I'll do that all day, you know. So it was a change of pace for him, which I think was refreshing. And we just both had fun with it. And Peter is a genuine guy.
Yeah.
You know, look, I'm a well-known PSA snob, you know, in terms of what's in my collection. But I have nothing but good things to say about SGC. The way they do things and where they're going. And I talked to Peter. I interviewed him at the National on my recap video. Talked to him several times off camera. Found out some very interesting nuggets that I can't share, but I did. He's just open. You know, he's like he's transparent, and I think transparency is the key for any grading company to build loyalty.
Yeah,
just tell us what's going. You're going to screw up. Everybody's going to screw up,
man.
But own it. You know, hey, we messed this up. We're going to fix it. We're going to make it right.
Yeah, a lot of my, you know, you mentioned earlier the success of my channel for, you know, for whatever it's worth. But a lot of my subscribers really came during a time when I really felt like I was, you know, giving some people some information through like backing up into numbers, like whatever guerrilla math I could come up with based on whatever little nuggets I can grab from PSA to try to put some information out there for people, because PSA wasn't being transparent, right, about some of the things that they were doing, their backlogs and how long and how big, and we still don't really know, and it's still kind of, you know. And so yeah, I agree. And one of the things that's funny, like even now, just you and I doing this video, you know, we had a little bit of a chat prior to 5 minutes, you know, just hey, how you doing, what's going on, this, that, and other. I had the same thing with Peter. And you know, you would imagine that whenever we start the video, he kind of turns into like CEO Peter, right? And that's just simply not the case. He is the exact same guy. And then even afterwards, I mean, we chatted for like a good 30 minutes after sitting there, having finished doing a 1 hour interview. We sat there for another 30, 45 minutes, just talking about where he's from, what he's doing, where he's living, you know, all these things that he's been going through as he's been trying to build this channel. I mean, this grading company that he's had. And so one of the big things that I wanted to talk to you about was this 52 Mickey Mantle that is currently at Heritage Auctions, that is an SGC 9.5, that is already, I think, outsold the previous record, which was like 5.2, 5.3 million, right? Something like that. The PSA that sold recently, I think it sold earlier last year.
Well, it's going to be the highest. It's going to be the most expensive sports card ever.
Right. It's on pace, right, for that, right? Yeah. And there's a lot of really fine details about that particular card. You know, the origins, where it came from, but more importantly, you and I were talking off camera. I think SGC has been doing such a great job of getting themselves out there, not only as a company, letting everybody know what they're doing, what they're about, and just kind of really magnifying what was already there as core values for their company. But this to me is just like another kind of, you know, feather in the hat that says, hey, we are serious content. We are serious business here. This is what we do. And the fact that it's a 9.5 Mickey Mantle, it's such an iconic card already, and it's in a tux, right, is to me, it's like just another big thing in their, you know, kind of in their portfolio to say, hey, we are as good, if not better, than PSA. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that's a proud moment for them that they were chosen to grade that card. It had been raw for decades. And
oh, really?
Yeah. I can't. There's so many great things about this card that I can't tell you, that Peter told me in confidence.
Yeah, understood. I don't want to get you in trouble either.
Well, I can't. I'm not going to breathe. Then he won't tell me anything ever again.
Yeah,
and it's a great story behind the card. Not just and I can talk about
Yeah,
all
tell me
the
the normal story. Yeah, the one story
provenance
that's
of the
already out there.
card is pretty incredible. So Alan Rosen, known by everybody as Mr. Mint in the hobby, one of those guys that always walked around. There he is.
I'm gonna
Well,
see
there he
right
was. There
Boom.
he is. And that's pretty much a synopsis of who he was. He walked around with a big smile on his face, very boisterous, and go to card shows and literally lay out suitcases of $100 bills. I'll buy anything, you know, bring it to me. And he was a big buyer in the sports card world. And he collected 52 Mantles like, you know, we might collect Gavin Lux rookies, you know, or something.
Wow, really?
Oh man, he had tons of them. And this one was, he said, this was the best one I have ever had. It is the prettiest, the most well centered, best conditioned Mantle 52 tops I've ever had. And so he sold it to a guy. And actually, at the Heritage booth at the National, they displayed this card, right? And it was absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I don't know how it's not an SGC 10. Honestly, I mean, might be a little undergraded, which is hard to say.
Yeah.
It's better looking than, and I've compared it to other PSA 10s, and it looks better than those, honestly. So it's just bright and color, and I mean, all these things that vintage matter. Like modern cards, it comes out of, you know, it's going to be what it is. Vintage
Right.
has a lot more nuance to the specifics of it. There it is. Look how gorgeous that is.
That is a beautiful card.
I mean, what's it at now? Does it tell you what
6.7, 6.2, 7.4 with buyer premium. But I mean, I think the hammer price is kind of what everybody looks at, right?
No, they'll look at the total, because
They will? Okay.
that's what the guy will end up, or girl, or
Yeah,
whoever,
that's true. Yeah.
whoever buys it.
Or the hedge fund.
So I've got my snipe in at 8.4 million. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna start calling you Money Mike.
Right. No. Such a great, I mean, you can even see on the flip there, it says, I can't read it without my glasses. What does it say on the, it's got a special, finest known example.
Yeah, it's 1985 Rosenfine, finest known example. So I read a little bit about that, and he bought basically like a box of them, right?
Yeah.
And this was in that set, and when he saw it, he was like, wow, this is without a doubt the best looking example, and he's probably one of the best people to have an eye for it, right? Because he's seen so
100%,
many of them, right?
100%. You know, he died in God, what year was it? 2016. Hold on, I had it here a second ago.
I mean, just
2017. He died early 2017. So look at that. I mean,
that is insane, yeah. And here, you know, here's another thing that I really like about what SGC does is that I really feel like they take, you know, when somebody asked Peter about subgrades, he was like, you know, like there's no way that we could do subgrades even if we wanted to, because there's so much that goes into it, right?
There's way more than 4 things, right?
Exactly.
So
yeah.
it's more than corners, edges, surface, and centering.
Yeah, exactly. And then on top of that, even if you were able to categorize, let's say, the 15, 20 things, that criteria that they look at, there's still this other piece of it that is the culmination of all those things together, right? And I think that's one of the things that I love about what SGC does, is that they are not afraid to give something a gem mint grade that is slightly off-centered, but that it doesn't take away from the rest of the card. And they really go, I really feel like they go off of like how the card presents, how the card looks. And I mean, I think they have it right.
In the vintage world, we call that eye appeal, right? And
Eye appeal, yeah.
It's you can have a card that's a 2, but it has great eye appeal. And when you say that, that means, man, this just presents really well. It's, again, buy the card, not the grade. I tell everybody, like, buy a nice looking card. You know, the numerical grade is not unimportant, right? But it's not the end all be all for a decision, because I have a 54 Bowman Ted Williams, which is it's not a super rare card, but it's rare. It's a SGC 1.5, and I'm like, it's gorgeous. Like, yes, give me that all day long.
I'll
So,
take it. Exactly.
Because the price is way different. But that Mantle, he sold to a gentleman, I think for 50 grand, 20 some odd years ago, raw, right? And then it was brought to SGC to grade, to be auctioned off. And let's just say there was a lot of care taken to make sure
Oh,
that
I'm
the
sure.
card was given the utmost of attention.
Yeah, I'm sure. Stop
Again,
the presses kind of thing, right?
yeah, details that I cannot
For
disclose.
sure, for sure.
I'll tell you offline, but I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
online. It's just, and for Peter to tell me that and tell, I mean, it wasn't that I was the only one, you know, it wasn't, you know,
Yeah.
breaking news or anything to me. Other people knew the story, but it wasn't something they were publicizing. And
Right.
let's just say they made every effort to baby that sucker.
Yeah, I
And
bet.
it paid off. I mean, it's the best Mantle, that's best 52 Mantle that's out there, which is the most iconic card in the hobby. Period, paragraph, drop the mic.
Period. And you know what? I would even argue across sports.
Totally. I
I
meant
think that
that.
this is more iconic than, even in my case, a 86 Jordan. I mean, because before any of those guys came around, this card was already hype.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it predates all of that. So yeah, I totally agree. One of the most iconic cards in the hobby. Period.
I wouldn't even say one of. It is, to me, in
The
my humble opinion, I've only
Yeah.
been doing this 40 something years. The most iconic card in the hobby. And there's a lot of awesome cards.
Yeah.
The Wagner is certainly one, but a Wagner, there's only, 30 or 40 of them. You
Right.
can't get a Wagner. I mean, you can, and they're expensive, but you can get a Mantle. Like, as expensive as it is, it's expensive, but you can get one. They're out there. I mean,
Yeah.
at the National, I must have seen 100 of them,
Really?
at least. Oh yeah, they're everywhere. So it's not so scarce that you can't put your hands on one.
So like
It
a
might
SGC 1, which is like the worst.
25 grand, but all ones aren't created equal, right?
Yeah,
Nor all
understood.
twos and threes. Anything low grade and vintage is, the prices can vary dramatically. A one, you could, crumble it up and, it could still be a one.
Yeah. Run it through
Or
the washing
authentic.
machine, that kind of thing.
But you could have an authentic that is either got a pinhole in it, or it might be trimmed or whatever, altered, that looks great. That's just authentic, and it'll cost more than a 2 or something. It just,
Yeah.
that card is so all over the place in terms of values for certain grades. It's you literally have to go card by card.
Yeah.
And
That the epitome of buy the card, right?
yes,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
And maybe you got a lot of basketball guys. Everybody calls that the Mantle rookie. It is not his rookie, actually. The 51
That was gonna be
Bowman.
my next question.
The 51 Bowman is his rookie. But and then he has 52 tops and a 52 Bowman card. Mantle does. But that's his first tops card, no question. So you could say that and it would be accurate. But for people to call it his rookie
It's a little
it's
bit
just not correct.
inaccurate, right?
It's
Yeah.
inaccurate.
I'm actually gonna have Victor on Wednesday.
Yeah.
To talk about that very thing, because we're going through the same thing right now with Jordan, with PSA finally deciding to grade the 84, 85 star, right?
Yeah.
And so, there's this once again this debate, and it's funny because I actually found Victor when I was doing my own research in trying to make sure that I buy Yordan Alvarez rookies.
Right.
And so there's some ambiguity there as to what his rookie card is, what his real rookie is, versus what isn't. And so
And even now with Wander, right? I mean, I consider Bowman's best Wander Franco to be his rookie card. 22 tops, which has the rookie card logo and all that stuff.
Right. There's a lot of nuances with that, isn't there? I mean, there's quite a bit of, and that's why I reached out to Vic. I love his content as well. I kind of went into a little bit of a rabbit hole with his content as well, because he's, if you and I are niche, right, in the fact that we're on YouTube talking about sports cards, he's on YouTube talking about sports cards, but specifically rookie cards. And so I fell right into the rabbit hole and started consuming all his content. So he'll be on the channel here. I think I got maybe next couple of days, Wednesday, where we're going to talk about rookie cards, and he has a lot of really good points that he's made in a lot of his videos. And he's again, I mean, I was watching some of his videos going, man, this is amazing information. This is such good information. And it's got like 30 views or 50 views. Right. And I'm like, no, I have to try to do something, because his content is amazing. And so, yeah, but so that's interesting. This isn't even his rookie card.
Yeah. But what's cool about vintage, if you're a rookie guy, like Bob Gibson has one rookie, 59 tops. That's it. There wasn't else. 14 companies making cards and all this, you know,
like there's 78 Zion rookie cards.
Right. I mean, you have one, and it does make it simpler, which also makes it more expensive.
Yeah.
There's only one.
There's only one.
Solution of the, if you want a Bob Gibson rookie card, it's the Pepto-Bismol 59 tops.
It's funny. So I went through this because I was trying to pick up when the Rockets signed Christian Wood from the Pistons. I was looking for his rookie cards. I figured, we're talking modern era stuff. There should be 50 different variations of a rookie card for Christian Wood. Nope, there's two. There's the Donruss rookie and the rookies. That's it. There was nothing, because he was such a kind of a low tier guy when he first got drafted that, Panini only made one real rookie card and then one parallel, and that's it. And so
do you like that or don't like that?
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I dig that. I mean, I don't get me wrong. And I'm very, very passionate about my Rockets. So when I'm picking up, like this year and last year alone, I've been picking up a ton. I mean, pretty much any rookie card that I can get my hands on of either Alperen Şengün, Josh Christopher, or Jalen Green, I'll take them all, right? I'll buy them all you can get. So I love that side of it, because I'm, once again, a degenerate collector, I like to call myself. But then at the same time, I dig when it's like, oh, what? There's only two? Like, yeah, I'll go get both of them in a PSA 8, a PSA 9. I don't care what it is. I don't care what format it comes in, just as long as I can get a good example of one. So
the simplicity can be refreshing.
Yes.
Sometimes, right?
Yeah. Especially in a sea of what's going on now, right?
Sure.
420 base card sets with like 50 different parallels, and I'm attracted to that as well, because I'm doing a rainbow chase on Akeem Olajuwon for 2019 Prism, and it's like 42 different parallels, So.
And they do all look cool together. I mean, I'm a recovering player collector, so I used to be a player collector, and I got shaken and like, dude, what are you doing? You're just pouring all this money into one guy. And I loved having Topps Chrome rainbows, and I mean, they do look cool. Like, no argument there.
Yeah. That's a lot of my. I've been that way since I was a kid. Once I find out that, oh, this one cool thing, you mean to tell me that there's like 7 other variations of this one? I gotta have them all. Gotta have them all. I just I don't know why I'm like that, but I'm pretty sure I got to sit with a therapist at some point to figure out why I'm like that. But what do you think that this Mantle is going to end up at? Hammer price, if you had to just throw a number out there.
I wouldn't say hammer. I'd say total, probably, like I would include buyer's premium.
Oh, buyer's premium. Okay,
I think 15 to 20 million is where I think it ends up.
Blows the out of the water the so the previous Mantle was 5.5, I think, or something like that, million. But that's just the record for the Mantle, right?
Well, last Golden sold one in a private sale, or would they sell in a private sale the other day?
Yeah, I saw that too.
Probably need to look that up.
Yeah, I can pull it up real quick, because they did it. They put it all over Instagram. Let's see here.
Tito 6 Wagner PSA or SGC2, which, oh, by the way, is another SGC card, right? 7.25 million, and that was a private sale, which is always, I actually believe it, but at the same time, it's like,
yeah, it's kind of like, private sales, huh?
Did you really sell it for?
Did you know?
No, that would get found out pretty quick.
Yeah, I would think so.
And so I don't know that they would do that if they're going to ruin their rep. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
There's no benefit, but
there's no benefit, right? Exactly.
So if the record Mantle's 5.5, this is going to obviously blow all that away. And I think what's cool about vintage is you hear a card like that getting. Let's talk about the Mantle still.
Mm-hmm.
If it goes for 15 million. I think that just brings attention to the hobby in a good way.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It doesn't. Nobody's out there going, oh my gosh, I got to see if I have any 50. Nobody. Well, there are people that are naive enough to think that they might have one that's that good. Or I have one of those, and it was in my bicycle spokes as a kid or whatever.
Yeah.
I can go get 15 million. No, that one's perfect. Yours is, like a rat chewed on.
Yeah.
So,
It's funny because I've had a lot of that ever since, because my channel's only maybe like 18 months, 2 years old. And since then, once some of my friends who I grew up with and stuff like that, they're like, hey man, I got a binder full of stuff, man. I might hell man, I might be able to pay my mortgage off. And I'm like, let's take it easy, Tiger.
probably not.
And
Yeah.
probably not, but and they'll come and bring it to me, and I'm looking through it, and I'm like, okay, that's a rookie card, yeah, but it's Olin Polynice, right? I mean, like nobody cares about that. Like let's just keep scrolling here, buddy. Like, oh, that's it. There, look, there's a Kobe card right there. It's like, yeah, but it's a Panini, 2009, it's base, it's not really. And so they're like, no, but it's Kobe. No, yeah, I understand it's Kobe. No, but one Kobe just sold for, 100,000. Yeah, but that's his Topps Chrome rookie card, the PSA 10. It's a little bit different, and
Right.
it's like, listen, buddy, I would love to explain this to you, but here's the link to my channel. Go educate yourself, because it's not what you think it is,
And that happened when I was a kid. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, keep your cards, because the reason vintage is expensive is because a lot of it did get thrown out by our parents, by their
Right.
parents.
Right.
The baby boom generation in the 50s and 60s, baseball was king, and it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
And
Because there was nothing else.
Right. You had great players, you had great teams, you had great stories, and then they all collected cards. Topps created this, gargantuan monopoly when they bought out Bowman after Bowman's last cards were in 55. And then, sorry, I'm educating you. Sorry.
Yeah, you are. I didn't know that.
But
because Bowman's still around though, right? But I guess it's just licensed through Topps, right?
Well, Topps bought Bowman in 55. They bought them out, essentially. Drove them out, only making Topps cards exclusively. The next Bowman set came out in baseball 1989, and it was a huge failure. It did have a King Griffey Jr. rookie in it, but anyway, point being, all these baby boomers had cards, but as they got in college and growing up, they didn't have the value they have now. And so everybody, my mom, I took her a Mickey Mantle that I had bought at the National the other night. We went to dinner, and she's like, I used to have that card. I said, I wish you still had that. It was a 53 Topps Mantle. Like, I wish you still had it, because she was a huge Yankees fan and had all of them. And
yeah,
like, they're all gone. They're all in the bottom of a dumpster, somewhere. And that, in the 80s, then our parents were like, don't throw away your cards,
right.
my mom threw mine away, and look what I'd have now.
Right, exactly.
So that it's funny how things in the hobby just rinse and repeat.
Right.
And repeat.
Yeah.
We think, oh, this is brand new. No, it's not. I promise you it's not brand new.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
you pulled it out of a screw down.
The boom we just had in pandemic and 2020, early 2021. That's happened before. It's not the last time that will happen. It was unusual. Always the circumstances change, but you look and you go, that's an awfully close cousin to what happened.
Yeah.
In this time, right? Junk wax era. And all
junk wax era. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I think the junk wax era was an interesting one too, because of there was baseball, football, and basketball for the companies to just start printing, right? I mean, like everybody, there was an abundant, it wasn't just baseball, right?
Right.
There was so much more that they could do. And that's where that's where I got into it. I mean, I was a kid and I got into it, and I was like, yeah, once again, this underlying issue of being a degenerate collector creeped its head in, and I'm just like, yeah, give it. I'll take all of it. Give me, Dad, I need a binder. I need a 4-inch binder now. I got, you know what I mean? And it's like, hey, mowing lawns, and like, here you go, here, kid, here's your $10. I'm heading straight to Fiesta, and I'm going to the card shop, and I'm going, here's my $20. Give me one of those. Back when you can buy single packs, and I was just going nuts, And
oh, by the way, back then, card shops popped up everywhere.
And I just mentioned Fiesta. Fiesta actually is not a card shop. It's a grocery store here in Houston. And the grocery store leased out a little space to a guy who bought a bunch of showcases and literally made a circle of showcases. And that was the card shop that I would go to.
Yeah. And now they all left, they all got pushed out when everything collapsed.
Yeah.
And we've seen that the last 2 years, all these card shops popping up. They will not all survive. That's going to be the reality of it, especially now with what's going on with Fanatics cutting out distributors and, changing. I think they're going to change the entire landscape of how we acquire new product. It's all
Amazing
gonna
segue. Amazing segue.
Just for you. I knew
you've done this before.
you've done this once or twice.
Wait, hey, before I get into it, I think I remember I was listening. Was it your father that was in broadcasting?
He was.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I grew up going to games and sitting in the broadcast booth with the announcers and all sports. You'll love this at Mavs games when I was a kid. My dad was the camera. He'd run camera underneath the basket. And so I would So whenever you see now they're all stationary cameras. They're all fixed. But there used to be a dude holding the camera.
Guys, literally. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And so my dad would be there, and I'd either be what's called a cable puller. So I'd have the wire coming off the camera.
No
this is
way.
pre-wireless cameras, all this stuff. Or I'd be holding a little microphone. When you hear the squeaking of the under the basket,
that's a separate mic.
That's me holding a mic when I was a kid. Now they're all again stationary and fixed. But I used to be this kid, sitting. I had best seat in the house, man. I'm sitting under the basket.
Yeah.
And this was late 80s Mavs team. So you had Mark Aguirre, Rolando Blackman. They actually went to the Western Conference Finals, played Magic Johnson and the Lakers, the Showtime Lakers. They lost to them. But anyway, that was my childhood, was going to sports, and made me love it even more.
Oh, yeah. I mean, how could you not? I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, of course you have a room dedicated to this stuff in your house. Like, how could you not, right? Like with a pedigree like that. If you guys want to know, those of you that are watching and want to go back and kind of look at what Mike's talking about in terms of the guy on the camera with the camera on the floor, just Google Dennis Rodman when he kicked the camera guy.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's like, he kicked the crap out of the guy. Like he landed on the guy and then got pissed off at the guy and then ended up kicking him with what ended up being square in the nuts.
Right.
And the poor cameraman was just sitting on the side of the floor, just wrenching in pain while the basketball game was going on.
Right.
Not good, man. Yeah. So yeah, you definitely for sure had the best seat in the house, especially when it came to a fast break. That's coming right at you, man.
Yeah, it was great memories. Absolutely great memories.
So you talked a little bit about Fanatics, and this is something that, once again, I have my notifications set, and by this time I'm in bed. It was like 9 o'clock at night. And I see the notification pop up that you guys dropped the video, late night special, Mike and Ty, and you guys broke the news that Fanatics dropped off one of the biggest, retailers, right? The biggest. Oh, okay, was the biggest. I know there's a handful of them, right? There's maybe like 6 or 7 of them.
Yep, but
this
GTS
one was the biggest. So recap that for me. What happened exactly, and what do you think that means for what's going to happen next?
Well, I'll tell you the story behind it first, and you'll get a kick out of this little insider scoop. So Ty calls me again. It was late, and he's like, I think we need to do a video. And I said, what's going on? He goes, I just found out that Topps dropped GTS as a distributor. I'm like, yeah, you're lying. Like, I'm like, there's no way. And yep, I've triple, quadruple checked it. I've gotten confirmation from Topps, like everything we needed to do to make sure we weren't going to get sued if we broke the information. Like I asked him, I said, what if we get sued? And he's like, oh crap, I didn't think about that.
Well, it's funny because if you watch I'll link the video in the description so you guys can go back and watch it. I highly suggest you go by and go, you are super skeptical face. You're like,
I was.
But I mean, that's I guess a trust that you have in Ty that he's doing his journalistic duties. But
once you told me who we talked to, which we aren't going to disclose our sources,
right,
I knew it was legit, and I did that for the video just so people would know we were doing that we weren't just pulling this stuff out of thin air. And not that that shouldn't surprise anyone. And what was interesting is the timing of it. Right. By the way, sports cards get into your hands usually through a distributor.
Right.
If you buy them at Walmart or Target, they're coming through
XL, MJ Holdings, and the other one. Yeah.
That's a distributor that buys the cards from the manufacturer and then decides how much to put in each shelf at each Target or Walmart. And hobby shops acquire their cards the same way. So do breakers, right? So
breakers,
right. Yeah. I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay. Yeah. I'll let you. Yeah.
So GTS is the largest of them
Okay.
all. And you get allocation of you might have heard this term in the hobby.
Yeah.
I got an allocation for Topps Chrome. Yay. That means they're going to get some boxes and or cases of that said product, whether it's Prism basketball or football or whatever. Well, in order to buy Prism or Topps Chrome or some of the best products, they're going to make you, well, you can get a case of Prism, but you got to buy 4 cases of XYZ junk product, whatever it is.
Right? The distributor will do that to the end.
100% to this hobby shop, the breaker, the whoever. They're all having to buy the crap no one wants in order to get the crap everybody wants. And notice I use the word crap.
Interesting.
It's just, anyway. So that is the methodology that these distributors, and like, oh, if you don't want to buy the other stuff, I'll find somebody else to buy your allocation of Chrome or Prism or really great product that is going to sell well. What GTS also would do is kind of shady, by the way. They would, let's say they got, a bajillion cases. They would hold 30 to 60% of that back and not allocate it at all like they were supposed to, and then resell it. Hey, we gave you 2 cases. Yes. We'll give you 2 cases at SRP or wholesale. And then a month later, hey, we got some more Prism, but now, sorry, when it's really part of their original allocation that they got from the manufacturer. So they should, the plan is supposed to be, we give it to you, Topps or Prism or Panini, we give it to you at this price. You can mark it up a certain amount and sell and you'll make your profit.
Well, that's what a distributor is there for. That's all they're there for, right? Their profit margins is supposed to cover the cost of operations to simply handle the distribution.
Correct.
Right.
But they weren't doing that. They were withholding even more product in order to, hey, we got some more, but it's going to be, market price.
$900 a box now.
Right. And so that was shady. And believe me, GTS isn't the only distributor that's doing that. Right. Wow. Southern Hobby is not known for that. They were known for being pretty straight. There's 5 or 6, like you said, different distributors.
Yeah.
Most of which were probably doing something pretty shady. And my answer to all of that is, with Fanatics distribution network already, what do they need distributors for in the first place?
No, they don't.
So nobody's surprised at this news. It's just like, whoa, this is the week after the National.
Yeah.
It's like,
also the timing of it is kind of like,
kind
of makes you think like, well, what else are they going to announce?
Right.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this today, even on the fly, that they're not doing this in a vacuum. There's a plan.
Oh, yeah. They have, I mean, a company like that, especially when if you look at what their business model has been with merchandise, just simply with merchandise, their model is to go to these organizations, buy the license, cut everybody out, go to China and go, hey, you're going to make this for me. I have the license. Here's how we're going to make it. Here's the quality that we need it to be. And our distribution channels are going to handle the distribution, and we're going to go direct to consumer. That's their business model.
Why shouldn't they?
That is how Michael Rubin has made his billions, by doing that, rinse and repeat for NBA, NFL, I want to say NHL, MLB. I mean, for everything. The guy's got his hands in everything, and that is the model that he has used for every single one. And it made perfect sense when they first announced this, because not only is the NFL, NBA, MLB, along with the NFLPA, the MLBPA, and the NBAPA, all those guys are already in bed with Fanatics on the merchandising side to begin with, and it made perfect sense that they would just simply go, hey, why don't you handle our sports card distribution while you're at it?
Right.
And it made sense.
If you thought about how many hands were in the cookie jar every time a box of Topps Series 1 baseball was going from the printing floor to the hobby shop, it's getting cut up so many ways that it ends up being super expensive. And the comments we're getting are on both videos, today's and last week's, when we broke the news, was, well, isn't this going to make cards cheaper, boxes cheaper? And my answer to that is maybe a little.
Right.
But the reality is they're just cutting out the middleman, all the fluff, right? And they're going to sell it direct. and they're going to, if a hobby box is Series 1 baseball, which is all I only know baseball, so you could talk Prism football or Prism basketball, but let's say a box of just hobby box of tops is $125. Well, now it might be $120 or $115, but it's not going. They're not just going to not make that profit.
Yeah, 100%. I actually I would think that they're gonna. Yeah, so I agree with you. If a box, let's just say for the sake of math, a box to the end user right now is $100, and when it leaves the manufacturer, the cost of goods sold is $50.
Right.
Well, Fanatics might sell it to you for $80, right, and still keep that big margin by eliminating all the middlemen. Right.
Yeah, because they might have only sold that box from 50 to 60.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And to the distributor, right?
Now they can sell go 50 to 80. Everybody wins.
Exactly. Everybody's happy. Yeah.
But Tops or Fanatics, it's not Tops. It is Tops or
yeah.
But the reality is they're probably still going to sell it for 100. And that's where I think it's going to go. I have no information to back that up other than 40 years of experience to tell you guys.
Inflation is the perfect reason to do so, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, they could just go, hey, I don't know, man, inflation, sorry, $100.
I mean, we all saw blasters go from $19.99 to $24.99 and therefore that's not going back down.
No, it's not.
Why would that's the thing with inflation? Unless you have deflation. I'm an economics major, financial planner. That's my job. So talking about this stuff, I do it ad nauseum all day, every day. And I will tell you that everybody's like, oh, I can't wait for inflation to go down. No, you would like prices to go down. Inflation will go down. It'll just stay where if something went from $10 to $14, it's still going to be $14. It's just not going to go to $18.
Right.
Does that make people don't understand inflation? Like it's stuck there now.
Yeah. This is the new norm.
That's right.
Yeah.
This is the new normal. Yeah. And $24.95 or whatever, $24.98 for a blaster is going to be the new normal. And I think you'll even or they keep this. They could lower the price. They'll just give you less cards, right? That's another way. They could say, "Oh, we're lowering the price," but now you get 6 less cards, or some. They could do it that way, and people would be, I think, duped. Maybe they just wouldn't realize. Oh, I'm getting less. I'm still paying the same amount or more per card that I'm getting in that box.
Yeah, that doesn't really affect you too much though, because you're primarily a vintage guy. You don't do much new stuff, do you?
Doesn't bother me one bit.
See, that's my problem. My problem is I love basketball. I love my Rockets, and so it's like, I had my intention this year was to make a significant purchase. I was gonna buy a lot this year, and then Panini started with this whole RPA thing that really pissed me off, and then they kind of screwed me because all my rookie guys for this year, none of them have decent RPAs. I got to buy a box of either immaculate or flawless to get it's just stupid anyway. But
I think the winners out of this, the winners are going to, I mean, first of all, more people are going to turn into singles buyers, I think, out of this.
For sure.
And I think that trend's already starting. I think breakers are going to have a really hard time because they're going to be buying that $100 box for $100. And if I can go buy a whole box for $100,
I'm not getting into breaks.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you may be a team collector or a player, they can, I'm not saying breakers go away.
There's still going to be some value there, right? To get into that.
Oh, I can pay $8 for the Pistons, or whatever, break or something. I don't have to spend $100 on a box, and I'll only get the cards I really want anyway, right? If you think about it, there will still be a market for breakers. I just think that paradigm's going to shift from trying to add value by a breaker buys the box at wholesale. They buy it for the 60. They sell spot because if you add up breakers, they're getting way more than they could sell the box for.
Oh, right? 100%. Yeah.
So they're selling cumulative spots via team or division breaks or however they do it, all the different ways. And that box that they could just buy for $100, you as a consumer, they're getting $120 to $150 out of it, using your hypothetical $100 box, right?
Yeah.
So the breakers are making a killing. They still might be able to do that, even if they're buying for $100 instead of $60. Their margins are just going to be cut, and so how many of them stick around? How many of them again, it'll be shrinkage just like there will be on the hobby shop
Mm-hmm.
landscape over the next 3 to 5 years. I think the next year is super critical for this hobby.
Yeah, the next count. This
No, 12 months, like
12 months.
a year from now after the
Yeah.
National in Chicago. I think the hobby's going to have some splaining to do, I guess, as they would say. And Fanatics has got to come out and really, I think, again, I don't know how transparency hurts you.
No, I don't. I've never seen. I've been in corporate business for years, supply chain, all kinds of stuff. I have never seen where transparency will hurt you, and I can almost guarantee you that the lack of it is gonna kick you in the nuts every single time.
Right.
And I have never been able, because one of my specialties was going into facilities that weren't performing great, and a lot of it had to do with the fact that a lot of people were just shielding information from other departments, and it was never a good thing, right? And so transparency, I don't think I've ever seen a scenario where transparency has hurt anybody, and that's primarily, a lot of my beef with PSA, with Panini now, with this whole the patches not being even related to the player. Like, all I'm asking for is a press release here. Just tell me what's going on. And I hope Fanatics has seen that and seen how vocal people have been about the lack of transparency, and hopefully takes a higher road.
Especially with Fanatics going to be essentially a monopoly in the sports card world.
Yeah.
Not completely, but pretty much. They're going to own a 90% plus market share.
Yeah.
Of the sports card world. Dude, just tell us what's going on. And that's why I begged PSA to do that forever in open letters and comments. Just if you're 12 million cards behind, tell us.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to, in fact, we'll think more of you because, man, congratulations. Y'all got 12 million cards. Yeah. I'm not going to be sitting there going, and then you could understand why you've had several orders that took, lifetime to get back. And, just be honest with us. We are very forgiving. We've seen it in sports, even when guys get busted for, doing something wrong, and that they just come out and own it. I drove drunk, or
exactly.
Or I beat up my wife. Not that those are good things. I'm not saying that Fanatics or PSA would. It's not like people would still roast them, but at least they're out there.
Yeah,
and they're saying, "Hey, we were too popular. We took in too many cards."
Yeah.
And then when they raise their prices, you go, "Yeah, I get it. We can. Our capacity is this, and this is where we found an equilibrium with price of what the market will sustain to keep us fully engaged in grading."
That's all it takes, man.
Like, I hate being logical. It just sucks.
I always like to say it's too much like right.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just too much like right. How could you ever expect somebody to do something right? It doesn't make sense. But
sadly, I expect it all the time.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I do too, and I get let down more often than not.
Well, we know
I'm going to close it out here, Mike. I got one last thing I wanted to ask you. You were at the National. Were you at the National last year?
Yes.
Okay. What was one of your biggest, kind of the differences between last year's National, which some would argue was probably one of the most, like, the craziest, versus what you saw this year?
It was still extremely crowded. I think it was a bigger floor. It was about 100,000 feet more. It was about 500,000 square feet versus 400,000. So that's what, 20% more,
massive,
25% more than 400,000. So you've got more space. So it probably felt like there were less people, but the reality is it was still nuts to butts,
really
all over that place.
Wow.
There were times I literally just left in the middle of the day to go take a nap and get off my feet because I couldn't get to a table anyway. So,
wow.
And the dealers I talked to had a great show. They had great shows. A lot of vintage was moving. Like, people are gravitating towards vintage. And I think that's more true now than it would have been in Chicago in 2021. Although there's always vintage market. That's never a problem.
Yeah.
But the guys that owned all the, Zion stuff, I'll just use Zion as an example.
Those guys weren't there.
That are now, maybe I I need to get liquid with some of this stuff. Prices have all crashed, all that kind of stuff, and they're wanting to get cash in their pocket, even if they take an L on the deal,
on the price. Yeah,
and then they end up, moving over to vintage and a lot more raw because of what's happened in the grading space. You just couldn't grade stuff as easily as you could before, and so the raw that would otherwise be being graded is just sitting raw, and that's been cool. So people are grabbing like, oh, I'll take a raw version of that card. That's cool. And then they can grade it at their leisure. I mean, I have a stack of cards over here waiting to go to PSA at some point. I'm not in any hurry. It's all PC stuff. So yeah, we both have. And so just different vibe. It was very well laid out. Like the venue itself, where the National was in Atlantic City, was fantastic.
Everything else around it, complete dog shit, right?
Atlantic City's a dump. There's no other way to say it.
Yeah,
it's a dump. And we stayed in a house literally as close as you could be to the show, which was great. We didn't have the parking problems that everybody's been bitching about, because we literally just walked. It was a 5-minute walk or less. And but I hope they never have it in Atlantic City again.
That's in Chicago next year, right?
Chicago, Cleveland, Chicago is I think the next 3 years.
Houston wouldn't be a bad place for them to have it.
No, neither would Dallas or Atlanta or Nashville or Denver or
anywhere. Moving around a little bit.
I would just love to see. And they're like, oh, we got to have these multi-year deals and we have to know years in advance. No, you don't. Come on. Come on. You really don't. And I've talked to guys that are in corporate event planning like that and these big giant conferences.
Yeah. It's not that serious.
It's not that serious. And they do want it all on. I've talked to Ray Schulte multiple times, who heads the
National.
But it is changing hands. The National is being taken over by a different group that runs the Chantilly show and the Philly show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
I heard that Chantilly show. So my exposure to card shows is really just at a large scale has been the Dallas show,
where I met you in person.
Yeah, that's where you and I met up. Yeah, I've been there twice already. I'm going to this next one.
In September.
Yeah. And then a couple of little local shows here in Houston that I've been to. But I've everybody that I've talked to has said that Chantilly show is like, that's another big one, right? That's another one that you kind of have to at some point, or at least once, go visit that one.
What I'm excited about is Rob Veras, Burbank Sports Cards. They're doing the Burbank show, and I could see that blowing up, very akin to how the Dallas show has become a huge show.
And is that an already ongoing thing, or is there just starting it?
Yep. Next one's in September, actually. Burbank Card Show. I
need to get out to Cali.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to probably do a road trip out there I won't be I'll fly, but like I'll do a trip out there, and some buddies and I want to go out there.
A lot of good cars out in California.
I mean, Rob Veras is no joke in the hobby, right? So
yeah.
That could be really big, and I think all these shows that are popping up everywhere will also eventually, over the next 2 or 3 years, there won't be enough to sustain them all.
That Burbank show is this month, right? Yeah,
in August.
Yeah, 26th.
Okay, there you go.
26th to the 28th. Interesting.
Yeah. See, you're learning so much tonight.
Oh man, that's why once again, special guest, right?
Well, when you come to Dallas, you gotta come. I'll come over here. I'll give you a vintage baseball education with sports cards.
I want you to see something, because, and then we'll wrap it up. I really want you to see this, because I don't want you to think that I'm just blowing smoke here. Where you at? Here we go. All right. Well, I don't know. You guys might not be able to see it. Damn it! I hate this thing. Mike Moynihan.
Phone number out there.
I'll block it off. I'm gonna do it. But I got you down as Vintage Guru in my phone.
Oh man.
So
Vintage Guru. I got you with Omar Retro Hoops. I put everybody's channel name because I
Yeah.
I know like there's 14 Mikes or 37 Chris's or whatever. You know, you gotta
Oh man.
distinguish.
Well,
Well,
Mike,
thanks for having me on, my friend.
dude, you have been great, very gracious with your time, man. I really appreciate it. I know you guys got a bunch going on. Just, I mean, continued, blessings for you and your channel and your family. And Jesus, man, you guys are killing it. I love everything you guys do, and I always appreciate the love you guys throw my way when y'all do. So, thank you for hanging out, schooling me a little bit, and hopefully kind of getting some more baseball stuff out there because I'm trying to do a little bit more these days, not just be stuck in the basketball range. So, I really appreciate your time, man.
Happy to help, my friend.
All right. Thanks a lot, Mike. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys. We'll see y'all next time. Love y'all. Peace.